question that I've always asked on this channel is, what is the difference between people that get rich and people that never seem to quite get there? What are they doing differently? What decisions are they making? How is their mindset different? How do they think different? What are the things that separate people essentially? So in this week's video, I'm going to be talking about 7 traits of self-made millionaires, both from my own experience building my net worth over 7 figures, and also from mainly my business journey, people that I've met along the way. I've been really lucky to meet a whole bunch of amazing people worth a few $1 million, tens of millions of dollars, and even hundreds of millions of dollars. There are a few traits that I've noticed that a lot of them seem to have in common, and they're all different in their own way, but you do see a certain number of traits keep showing up again and again and again. And what we're going to look at in this video is, well, how can we start incorporating those traits into my own life or my own career or my business, so that you can help propel yourself forward even faster. So the first trait is leverage. It's really, really important that you understand what leverage is and how to incorporate that into your own life. Leverage is essentially getting disproportionate returns on your time or effort. So leverage could involve hiring other people to help you get more done. It could involve getting software or technology to help you get more done with less. Leverage is all about getting disproportionate outcomes. Now, for a lot of people, and for myself included, when I was working in a day job, I couldn't mentally comprehend how I would make $500,000 in a year or $1 million in a year. Like, how does that even happen? I had early jobs where I was making $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year Australian, and I couldn't fathom how someone could make 10x that or 20x that. Like, how is that even possible? Like, I was working, I felt like I was working very, very hard, and I could maybe do 10% more, maybe 20% more. Then how do people make 10x that? One thing that I think rich people understand that a lot of people don't understand is that if you can't get leverage in what you do, you'll always make a smaller amount of money because you don't know how to use investments that can work for you and generate money outside of your personal effort. A lot of this is separating your outcomes from your personal time. So it can involve you having investments, so having a lot of investments on the side that you build up from a small amount to a big amount that can generate you ideally hundreds of thousands of dollars and up every single year without you actually having to do anything. And it does take time, but you want to build that up on the side because you start getting leverage and you start making money beyond your personal effort day to day. Another reason why I really encourage a lot of people to consider starting a business is in a business, you can get a lot of leverage by hiring other people. So you might be able to work 80 hours a week, or 40 hours a week or whatever. But if you hire other people, you can get their 40 hours a week as well. And that person's 40 hours a week. And now you can start getting 10x what a single person could get done. This is something that I personally took a long time to figure out. And I mentally understood it, but I didn't really start doing it until only a couple of years ago, to be honest. And since then, it's really, really helped grow my income because it's not just about my personal effort. And one thing that I was taught was no matter how productive you are, there's only so much one person can do. Even the most productive person ever, you only have a certain number of hours that you can do in a week without sacrificing health and that sort of stuff. If you're in a job, it can be quite hard to get leverage, and that's why I really encourage people to either A, start a business on the side or fully transition to business. Looking at roles where you can get leverage, like a lot of sales roles are dependent on outcomes rather than hours. And this is the crux of leverage. It's about getting the outcome, not just putting in hours, because like I said, you're gonna tap out with your hours very, very quickly. So it's important that you understand, how can I, even if you work in a company, could you build out a team so that you could get paid more to generate a bigger overall outcome for your company? The second trait is skill set. So if you're not excellent at what you do, you really can't expect to be paid abnormal amounts of money. You really should focus on, regardless of whether you hate your boss or you hate your job or whatever, even for your own personal standards, I think that you should be working towards being the best in the company or in the department or in the state or in the country or the world, whatever it is. Start by focusing on developing your skill set. I've had jobs I've liked, I've had jobs I haven't liked, but I've tried to keep a personal standard where I try to deliver the best quality work regardless of whether I like my coworkers or I like my boss or I even wanted to stay in that industry, because it's about having a personal standard. And even if you don't like your job now or where you're at the moment, if you move into a business or you move into something that you do like, you need to build up that muscle of work ethic anyway. So it's really, really important that you develop a skill set and develop real world skills that you can get paid for. You know, you don't need to be the best in the world necessarily, although that would help. You just need to make sure that you have above average skill set in your area. If you're someone that's trying to make a lot of money with an average or below average skill set, it just won't happen unless it's going to be due to luck. You need to be focusing on investing, and that's why I encourage a lot of people early on, once you've paid off a lot of your debts and you've saved up a savings buffer, is to go hard on developing your skill set. If you don't have skills, what can we pay you for? That's ultimately the end game. The third thing I notice about the self-made millionaires that I've met, they're very independent thinkers. They don't do what everybody else does. They do things, sometimes they go with the flow if that decision makes sense, but they don't necessarily do that. They're willing to go against the grain. They're willing to do things that other people would think would be strange or not a good idea because they think for themselves. And I think that more people could do this these days. You know, I've made definitely lots of decisions where I've kind of followed the crowd at the time or done what everybody else was supposed to do, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, but I was always kind of following what other people were doing and just doing more of that. And when I started to shift to more doing what I think I should be doing and what I enjoy, or focusing on industries that I think that have growth potential or offering services that I think that would be useful, everything changed. And it's same for yourself. You need to be able to think independently of what you see on social media, what you see on the news, and think for yourself, because it's a lot easier to be the captain of your own ship rather than just following people all the time, because that way you're not waiting for other people to do stuff before you could copy them. You can sort of carve your own path, essentially. The fourth common trait of self-made millionaires is their commitment and persistence. Their level of commitment and persistence would be significant, would be leagues above most ordinary people, because they stick with stuff when it doesn't seem like it's going well, or it seems like it's going slowly, and that sort of stuff. And I think this is, to be honest, I think that 90% of success does come down to just being a stubborn person and being someone that is going for the goal no matter what. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you are not flexible in how you get there. There are going to be some things that you try or pursue that aren't going to work, no matter how hard you try or how much good intentions you put behind it. Now, if you can think about just be focused on where you want to go, the end point or the end outcome, but be flexible in how you get there. If I think about a lot of people, they try for a little bit and give up, and they try for a little bit and give up, and they constantly do this cycle of trying a little bit and giving up. All the stuff in terms of career success and making a lot of money is on the other side of you persisting for a really, really long time. Any of the wealthy people that I've met over my career, they've all had, you know, I would say more challenges than the typical person, you know, a lot more stress, a lot more drama and uncertainty in their life to get to where they needed to get to. But they really backed what they were doing, and they stuck with it, and they did it for quite a long time, even if the signs weren't great. And I think that a lot of people could embrace that and do that a lot more. You know, people do things for 5 minutes these days, and they give up. And I think if you can incorporate more commitment and persistence in your own career, you'll be much better off. Number 5 is they have one main focus and then they diversify later. So there's a lot of people out there that are what I call dabblers, and they try 50 different things and they've always got something going on and they don't stick with it. When I think about my own journey, like I spent years and years and years, and it's one of the best decisions I made, I think, in terms of my whole, I guess, career, if you want to call it that, is picking marketing and sticking to it. And I made a decision maybe 10 years ago-ish, that I was just going to pick that one thing and stick with it and not change. And I didn't realize that I knew that I wanted to do that at the time, but I didn't realize the positive impact that would have until years later, because I started to get momentum, and you can't get momentum if you're trying 20 different things at once, you know? And if you think about your industry, there's no way that I could be a leader in my industry if I was approaching it with, you know, I had 20 different things going on at the same time. I focus on the one thing, and I'm still doing that now, and it's still the main source of my income. And the reason that I can get paid well now is not because I have any special talents, but it's because I've been doing stuff in and out for pretty much 10 years in my own time, investing my own money, but just constant applying, just keep applying pressure to that same area, you know, week in, week out. And then over years, you get to the point where you actually do build a skill set. It's almost impossible not to build a skill set. So have a think about, what lane that you're going to stay in and commit to it. Any of the successful business owners that I've ever met, they've all had one main thing to start with, then they spun off and made lots of companies later. They didn't have 20 companies to start with, or if they did, they were hiring lots of people to help get that done, but they weren't personally dividing their time and trying to do everything themselves from the get-go. Number 6 is an interesting one. It is they're great at managing their ego. So ego can be used as a tool for good or bad. So ego can be bad when you have too much ego to the point where you are not okay asking people for help or revealing vulnerability. That can be a negative side of ego. Whereas a positive side of ego is, you're competitive, you can't see yourself losing, you don't want to see yourself lose, so it drives you to bigger and better things. I've noticed with a lot of self-made millionaires that I have met over the years is that they're really good at managing that sort of opposing dynamic. They understand that they don't know it all, they'll never know it all, and other people are always going to be smarter than them that they can learn from. But at the same time, they leverage their ego when they need to, when they just need to, dig their heels in, be competitive, and back themselves. So just having that sort of balance is really, really crucial, because you can use ego as a tool to help you and not harm you. Number 7 is an obvious one, and it's something that anybody can do. And it just simply comes down to putting in the hours and work ethic. So if you're doing, like for me personally, I've been working 6, sometimes 7 days, and obviously it's not like from morning till night, but I'll be working 7 days, 6 days every single week for and I've been doing that for years now, and there's something that it's just by default. Until I'm getting to a point where I'm happy with where I'm at and then I can ease up a bit, I want to put in as many hours as possible as I can. Sometimes there's no substitute for just putting in the hours and putting in the work, and any of these people that I know, they work, and generating income is a major part of their life. It's not something they're doing as a side thing. It is a big part of their life and a big focus in their life. Just like for people that don't have fitness as a big focus, they don't look as good. Their fitness levels aren't as good. It's not a priority for them. Same for making money. If making money, and people have all these weird, funny things about making money, but if making money is not a focus for you, the chances of you making a lot of money probably not going to happen, or it won't happen quickly. So you need to make sure that it is a big priority for you in your life if if that's what you want, and make sure that you're putting in the hours. If you're just doing regular hours, a lot of people say, oh, I need work-life balance, and that is really important, and it is true. And I don't recommend that you stop sleeping 8 hours a night and you start eating crap because you're just always in front of your computer or something like that. But you need to understand that you do need to put in more hours than most, and if you don't, then it's just going to take longer. And I think for a lot of people, the way I approach it is if I can do, say 2, 3, 4 years of really, really hard work and just put my head down, I can live the next 30, 40 plus years cruising, because I've kind of built up that momentum. And I would rather do that than work at a lower pace for a longer period of time. For me personally, I want to be fully retired, or have the option to be fully retired between 37 and 40. So to do that right now, I need to be putting in massive hours. And I don't actually mind. It doesn't actually feel, some people groan at the thought of it. But for me, I feel good because I know I'm getting closer to what I want. So let me know in the comments, what did you think? Which of the traits did you like the most? Did you think I missed anything? If I missed something, please let me know. And yeah, other than that, I'll see you in the next video.